About 1992-93, I was introduced to Ricky McGee by Abraham Punk, another civil rights colleague of mine, in regard to some extreme disparaging treatment in reference to workman compensation, injuries, and claims.
Got burns up and down the right arm and on the chest. I have an IV established, O2 at high flow. Want to give him some morphine for pain control. Take quite a bit of pain. And we're going to have ETA probably about 7 to 10. Okay. Grab me in the cop. There's one person on each corner. I got it. Let's pick it up. Pick it up.
Okay, now I remember saying that gentleman, they took me to St. John's Hospital, and they had a orthopedic or the skin doctors put the order, and she was wanting to amputate my leg up above my knee, and I didn't feel that it was right because that I had a pulse down below my knee. They had split my leg on both sides, and I know blood was flowing, so why would they want to cut my leg off up above my knee? So I told them that I didn't want them to touch me. I wanted to go to Columbia University burn unit in Columbia, Missouri. So they flew me up there, and I told the guys in the helicopter that I wanted to let the doctor know that I wanted to have my leg cut off below my knee. So I woke up in the hospital, and I had burns to my arm. I had to do skin grafts on my arm. They took skin off of my legs, and they mashed it together. My chest, it was a hole big as a shortening can that had burnt through my chest. And these people up there, they worked on me. In 7 days, I was ready to come back home, and they kept me another 7 days to figure out how come I healed so quick. So when I came home, I had to go to the rehab, and I took, and the first day I went out there, they had what they call a learner prosthetic. They told me they would take anywhere from 5 to 6 months to get your balance because the electric cut off my big toe on my left leg. So I was out there trying to walk the first day. Well, I couldn't hold my balance. So I went home and I took a nap, and I told my wife, I said, honey, I said, can you go get my leg? I said, I'm going to walk. She said, oh, she said, you're talking out of your mind. She said, that electric's got your brain scrambled. I said, no. I said, the Lord said I could walk. So she went and brought me my leg, and I put it on, and I backed up against the bed, and I just took off walking. I walked outside, down the steps around my house. I walked back in. I sat down on the side of the bed, and I said, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus. So the next day I had to go back out to the rehab. I really didn't need crutches, but I had them. And I go out there, well, the guy's name was Kurt, that was the rehab instructor. He said, well, I have to get this belt to put around you to hold you up. And I made the remark, I said, how about walking on the Spirit of the Lord? He said, what do you mean? So I laid the crutches up on the wall, and I just started walking around the track. So, and then after I healed so fast, and I learned to walk so quick, I went to several attorneys, and this one attorney, he was wanting to do the workman's compensation part of it. Well, they would start my workman's comp checks, and they would stop them, and so I would get them started back. So I asked him, I said, well, how much do you think that I should get for losing my leg? And they have charts in workman's comp, like for fingers, toes, stuff like that. He said about $30,000. And I told him, I said, I don't think that's fair. I said, you showing me a check on your wall where a forklift ran over this man's toe at AG Groceries and his feet was elevated for 30 days, and you got him $250,000. I said, I don't think you're not in my best interest. So I got away from that attorney. So I went up to St. Louis, and I had it was a black law firm by the name of Collier, Carter, Dorsey, and Williams. They took my case. They was the personal injury part. I settled my own workman's comp case for $69,000. Well, a personal injury case, I don't know that much about it, but I know that for burns, scars, disfigurations of your body, you're supposed to get awarded a personal injury. It rolled on. I went to mediation trial with these attorneys at 8 o'clock in the morning up in Kansas City. I had over $250,000 worth of internal burns to my body. The electricity shrunk my bladder. It shrunk my spine. It's even tried to come out my right eye. I'm in pain every day, and injury of this kind seemed like it should have been in Springfield News and Leader paper, but there was never a follow-up story. And then I went to the courthouse, Greene County Courthouse. I had a 5-day jury trial, and the judge and the jury awarded me 0% verdict. And I asked those attorneys would they file an appeal, and they said they would, but they never did. So right now as I speak, my friend has got it in the Missouri State Supreme Court. I've been waiting now for 5 months. I know there's a lot of cases that they have to do up there, but I'm letting y'all know that justice ain't fair in Greene County.
Mr. McGee had been represented by some of the most influential, powerful, knowledgeable attorneys in this area. However, due to whatever factor it was, he was not legally represented. He was left through all the representation that he had sustained upon us, obtaining the records and start to review. Mr. McGee had been represented by at least 5 to 6 different lawyers in regards to his workers' compensation claim. There was numerous liens being asserted against Mr. McGee and his workers' comp claim as a result of some of the lawyers that had been represented that had allegedly had loaned money out to Mr. McGee prior to settlement of his claim. As a result of our first inquiry with Mr. McGee, the maximum disability that had been obtained by any single attorney in reference to their representation was 59% permanent partial disability to the body as a whole. As an individual that has sustained this type of injury, been hit twice by 69,000 volts of electricity through gross negligence of the employer, and subjected him to being hit, struck twice by this electrical shock as a result of the crane operator negligently hitting the crane as Ricky McGee was trying to take cable and manually tie the steel cable around one end of the concrete column that they was moving. And then when the operator of the crane negligently struck the crane into the high wire. It jolted electrical shock of 69,000 volts and hit McGee as he was standing holding the cable, knocked him to the ground, and after it knocked him to the ground, and doing our investigative inquiry, we further found out that he negligently struck the wire again, striking another 69,000 volts electricity, striking McGee as he was laying on the ground. It came down and jumped it down on his, I think it's his below right knee amputation. And when it struck in him the second time, it hit, and when it hit, it kicked his boot, knocked his boot almost 60 feet away, and you could see smoke coming from his feet as a result of that second bolt. Subsequently, McGee had to be ambulated to the emergency facilities in Columbia, Missouri, where they had more of an advanced facility to handle the catastrophic injury that he had sustained of the numerous burns over his body. The electrical jolts had went in and entered in McGee's body initially from the arm. It went into his left arm. It went through his arm, came up through, blew out his chest, went up through his head, came out of his eyes, and also exited out of his lower extremities, his two legs, and blew a big hole out of his chest. And he's able to live and sit and talk about this near fatal injury today. During the investigation, our primary inquiry consisted of civil rights inquiry from fair and adequate treatment and equitable treatment in trying to get Mr. McGee the restored equitable relief from workman's compensation damages, also for third-party claim injuries. We had initially inquired into this case, and we discovered that Mr. McGee possibly had third-party claim being prosecuted during the same time he was having his workman's comp claim being prosecuted. At this time, I'm not going to allude or call any names in reference to the different law firms that represented Mr. McGee because of the issue. However, I do have a record of each and every law firm that represented Mr. McGee in this workman's comp claim. Subsequently, as a result of the inquiry, we discovered that most of the law firms had collected a lot of second injury fund money off McGee. They had left McGee, abandoned him with no what you call TTD benefits. He was represented by several different high qualified law firms here in Springfield, and subsequently he ended up with one out of St. Louis. That was a black law firm that represented him in his third-party claim and filed it in circuit court. This law firm, along with the records and everything that I reviewed upon obtaining the records, they must have did somewhere between $50,000 to $150,000 in depositions in preparation for this trial, this jury trial. They went through 5 years of litigation for this trial and discovery. There was several offers in the trial of $100,000 that they refused to accept. There was mediation done in Kansas City by the law firm, which they was unable to resolve. Then they subsequently gets it to a jury trial here in Greene County before the Honorable J. Miles Sweeney. They went through a 5-day jury trial, and as a result of this 5-day jury trial, they came back with a 0% verdict. That found no liability on any party. It appeared from the investigation that it could have been a little jury tampering in there because the jury sent a question back out asking what are the consequences if we give a 0% verdict.
And I like to have everybody, when they get an attorney, make sure that they're capable of doing your case, because I got cheated out of mine, and it was a settlement in demand I had wrote for $31 million, and when I went back to the courthouse to look in my archives, the $31 million, I don't know who got the money, but the judge, he retired right after my case, and I think deep in my heart that if people that see this tape and see the severity of this tape that I've got here and get 0% verdict, I say I don't think it's fair, and I'm not going to let it stop me. It's a what now, ma'am? What?
Disparaging.
Oh, yeah, I've had what they call disparaging treatment. That'll be fine, that'll be all.